And I'm really hoping to water it down and not make it too medical or too therapeutic in nature, because I want you to absorb this information, this knowledge, and hopefully carry it back to your teachers and your students. So the first part, I already know that you have already gone in and taken your coffees and everything, but can I ask you to just shuffle, please? Can you move and change your seats? And I'll tell you the reason behind it. Just anywhere, even with the person next to you, but just change your seats. Sure that you take photographs, Yasmin. Okay. You can sit down. Sit down, sit down. You can sit. We are going to try and make this as interactive as possible, because that will wake you, all of you, up for your lunch, inshallah. So let me first tell you why I made you change your seats. Because our topic has got to do with multisensory teaching styles, one of the first things we need to know is the more the movement, the more the learning. So when you are seated, stagnant in one position for too long, your learning capacity also starts decreasing over time. The more the movement, the more the learning. So please, even in your classrooms, I know that we have assigned seats. You come in and you say, right, this is my seat, and the child grabs it, and the child probably sits there for the whole year. And that is just such a wrong concept. The child needs to be moving from one space to different space, because if you have one person sitting over there absorbing this knowledge, that person, if I shift her over here, her perspective, her angle, her movement is going to shift the way she's absorbing the knowledge. So let us first start with cognition. This is from a diploma that I offer for London Teacher Training College, but I've decided to condense it down and just give out some information that's going to help you with the children in your school. I'm a very child-centered person, and I'm going to be taking it from that perspective. But of course, you can take it from even an adult perspective, because this applies across the age ranges. Can someone over here just tell me in layman terms, what does cognition mean?
Cognition has to do with mental abilities.
Mental abilities, mental processes. These are, yes, your processes. The basic definition of cognitive skills means, cognition means to think. Now, our cognition in a human being has got many aspects to it. It's analyzing, it's memory, it's perception, it's sorting, it's coding, it's recoding, it is scheduling, it is analyzing, it is analytical, it's mathematical. Now just think, each child is coming with this different set of skills, some functioning on a very high level, and some functioning on a medium level, and some functioning on a lower level. How many of us view children that way? Very few of us, because for us, we cater to one class at one level, right? Yes? No. And that's such a disadvantage for the young, vulnerable, fragile children, the fragile young minds that we are working with. I noticed as I was sitting over here that people were asking, I'm going to come back to the cognition, but this is also part of cognition. A lot of people were on their telephones explaining to their partners or to their friends where Jeddah Prep is located. Some people came from Medina Road and they said, you know, turn at Share Amal, and once you reach Mustashfa Amal, you're going to find you know, the school right next to the hospital. Some came from Shari Amir Sultan, and they said turn from Sharmatak, and then you go straight, and when you see Mustashfa Al-Amal on your left-hand side, take a U-turn, it's right next to it. Now remember one thing, every time, can you get me the brain figures, please? Yes. Every time the human makes a movement, the two hemispheres of the brain start connecting through the neural pathways. If you are going to use the same pathways again and again and again, those are your old pathways, and that's probably what leads to dementia and Alzheimer's in the future. But for a person who takes new directions, if you have come via Medina Road, and if you are going to go back via Amir Sultan, your brain will automatically form a new neural pathway. And the more the connections between your two hemispheres, the bigger your learning, the more your knowledge. So new pathways are very, very important. Even when the children come into the classroom, I'm sure that every single day there's the same schedule, right? How many of you are following the same schedule every day? Morning circle, and then the first class is usually mathematics because you need the sharp powers in the morning. Am I right, please? Most of the schools? Exactly. Now, this, and again, I'm repeating myself, I'm talking about young children. So for young children, that same schedule, you're rotting those brains. You're teaching them, you know what, this is your schedule, be a robot and follow the same routine. Especially for those of you, because young children can be divided into two levels. You can have your hyperactives that are really overactive, and then you can have your hypoactives that are really underperforming. And I should tell you, out of both these cases, which ones do you think are detrimental to your classroom? The hyper or the hypo? How many of you say hyper? And how many of you say hypo? The hypo ones are the correct ones because the passive student is the red flag in your room. That's the student that's not been able to absorb knowledge. That's the student that's not able to learn. So for both these students, I'm going to show you an exercise later on, which is my favorite object in the classroom, which is the trampoline. And I'm going to show that later on and explain about that later on. Now coming back again to cognition. Which cognitive process is the first one that you require for learning? What do you do when you start to learn from someone? Someone says, build up on the focus, please. Observe, build up on that. Everybody's missing it. As educators, please remember, you cannot learn anything unless and until you're paying. Exactly. So a teacher that does not pay attention, what right has she got to tell the child to pay attention? I'm totally child-centered. I hate it when schools impose these rules that the child should pay attention, the child should sit still. Do you think all of you can sit still this way for half an hour, 1 hour, just like that, without movement, without stretching those legs? You can't, right? How do we expect that from the children? That's very, very tough on young minds, young bodies, because the body of the child has been designed for movement, it has been designed for play. It has been. It is biologically inherited, and this is the way of the Creator. That young child is meant to move, it is meant to play. Why do they say allow them to explore, allow them to investigate? Because the more they are moving around, the more they are learning through the environment. Now, again, as I said, please take different pathways on your way back, and you will find more neural pathways forming in your mind. And it's the same with the children in your classroom. Change those seats. change those seats. And you will see a lot of difference in the classroom itself when the child is moving from one angle to another, one space into another, and they are learning. Now, can somebody tell me how many senses do we have? 6. I'm going to totally shock you guys. No. As of today, there are 33 senses. Now just imagine, for a human being to function at its full potential, all those 33 senses have got to be working in harmony. Any disturbance, disruption in any one of those senses is going to create an imbalance in the body. And I'll give you a small example, and then I'm going to come back to the senses again. This has got to do with depression and anxiety as well, because I've got so many clients, and I'm sure there's nobody in this room who did not have a small episode of depression or anxiety once in the lifetime. When you have got something that is taking your focus away, and because we are going to be child-centered, we are going to say, suppose that child did not have enough to eat in the morning, or the parents were busy fighting and the child is emotionally disturbed, or on the bus he threw up from the long journey. Whenever any such incident happens, the body has got a way of diverting all the senses towards the issue that needs attention. This is called expenditure. Even for people who are depressed, the focus totally goes towards, I'm depressed, I'm down, I'm sad. And they actually get into that cycle and they lower themselves further and further. They do not realize that to break the cycle, you have one negative thought, you need to replace it immediately with at least 3 positive thoughts. And this is something as a tip for all of you. Maybe you can go back and help others who are suffering from it. So the same thing happens with the child. A child that's coming in the morning, a child who wants to throw up, or maybe a child who's hungry, a child who's not paying attention. You do not know what's going on with the sensory issues in the child's body. Now, because sensory issues are hidden issues, they are not visible to the teacher. Yes? And a lot of teachers do not know what sensory integration is. These children are misjudged. They are often mistreated as well. The teachers are frustrated because they don't understand, why is this child not paying attention? Why is this child not focusing? Why is this child not learning or progressing? Why is this child being so clumsy? Various issues going on. It's because these are all hidden. And there's no way that the child can explain to you what's going on because the child doesn't realize himself. I have got a presentation going, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm not, because I don't want to divert your visuals with your auditory. I just kept one figure because I had to show it to you, and I'm going to count on the auditory and the visuals that we will be demonstrating to teach you. Now, can I have those 3 information cards, please? You can have them down over here. Once our senses absorbs knowledge through the environment, now I am going to visually see something, I'm going to hear something, I can hear some noises filtering from there, I can even smell the lunch, my whole skin is able to feel the amount of people that are in here. I'm able to feel their energies as well. I still didn't have my breakfast, so yes, I'm waiting for that lunch, which will be my gustatory. Little further, please. So now what happens is, far apart. Yes, I think, is it visible to everyone? Yeah? All right, so what happens is, once I take in information through my environment, through all my 33 senses, and please remember, these 33 senses also includes receptors, the sweet taste, the salty taste, the bitter taste, my pain receptors, my itchiness, how much I'm itching. All these receptors have been added to the senses. So what happens is, all my senses are giving me information. Subhanallah. It's all coming very naturally to you because you are designed that way. All this information coming into you will go into the sensory bin. It's going to stay there for 2 to 3 seconds. It's coming in through you. You're hearing the sound. Maybe you've just taken a bite of something and the taste is still lingering for a second or two. It's still there in your sensory bin. From your sensory bin, immediately it will go to your working memory, which is here, right here. Your working memory or your short-term memory, 20 seconds or so in here. And when it is going to stay here, it's going to start working on the cognitive processes. It will analyze the information coming in. It will judge it. It will code it. It will try to sort it. It will try to classify it. And after staying over there for 20 seconds or so, it's going to move on to your long-term memory, which is your repertoire. Yes? Now, how does it move from your sensory bin to your short-term memory to your long-term memory? How does that information go from there to here?
Through attempts.
Attempts, rehearsals, practice, yes? And the key number is 3. Please remember. For those who are religiously inclined in here, subhanallah, our Huzur sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever he had to teach people anything, he used to repeat it thrice. But now research is proving it, that if you want the information to move smoothly from one section to another, repeat it thrice. So please, after me, for 1 to 2 seconds in the sensory bin, then about 20 seconds in the short-term memory, and then, so sensory bin, that's how it will go. And if you are going to repeat it 3 more times to yourself, as you leave from here, you are going to be putting it in your memory bank for it to last the rest of your life. Right? 3 times repetition in order to practice. You can take them. Can I have the poll? Now, what we are going to come to next is retention. I'm not going to be talking about retention. I'm actually not touching on the behavioral and emotional aspects of learning. I'm just trying to teach you on how you can make it even more exciting and even more effective, inshallah. Yes, please get that. Yes. Okay, so we can do this one. No, go back. Yeah. So this is actual physical activity and the cognitive performance of a human being. Can you see after 20 minutes of sitting quietly and after 20 minutes of walking? Look at how the brain just lights up. So if you are going to start introducing something for your students, something even when they're sitting on the seats, we are going to be doing that together in a short while. You are going to accelerate learning. You're going to enhance learning in your classrooms. And I didn't say that right in the beginning, but I wish to thank Mr. Raid. You know, a true educator realizes that traditional practices might be working, but guess what? You need a shot in the arm with something different, and that's why he brought me in. It needs a vision to understand that you need to get in. I honestly think every school needs an occupational therapist. Every school should have an occupational therapist, but that's not the case, unfortunately, because we have a lack of OTs here in the kingdom. So this in itself is proof, and this has been proven by all the researchers. And Alzheimer's, dementia, decline of cognitive skills is all due to lack of movement. That's why I stress on play. Now, with play, I want to teach you something. Every human body is divided into 3 planes. How many planes?
3 planes.
How many planes?
3 planes.
How many planes?
3 planes.
Yes. Just imagine an imaginary line right from the top of your head, right in the center, all the way down. So this is dividing my left to my right. Yes. This is dividing my top to my bottom. And this is going to divide my back to my front. I'm not going to be giving you the scientific terminology, but these are the 3 midlines of a human body. Now, what happens with children is when you give them unstructured play, I'm not talking about structured play because that's where you are setting the rules. But when children have got no rules to confine them, these children do a wonderful job of crossing the midlines. The left and the right, the top and the bottom, they fall, they tumble, they jump, they take leaps. And when you cross the midline, every single time you cross your midline, you learn. The brain activates itself automatically. Automatically. You cross your midline and it teaches you right. Activate yourself. Activate yourself. And have you noticed on how much stress is there again on people who pray? You are actually crossing all those midlines, even going down into sujood. You're crossing all those midlines. So prayer is not just helping you connect with your Lord. Prayer is also helping you cross those midlines, so the person that goes down is not the same person that gets up. Agreed? Okay. Now, these are the 3 planes, but of course, you can just say the left to the right, the top to the bottom, and the back to the front. So what we are going to be doing is talking about why is this midline important. Yasmin and Nema, can you guys come over here and form a line? How do you figure out which child is having problems with crossing the midlines? Just form a line. So what is happening is you're asking the children to stand in a line, and some children are standing this way. Some are standing this way. Right? Thank you. You have got children who are constantly moving, who are fidgeting. You have got children who are clumsy, who walk into every single thing. You have got children who are clumsy with their fingers and they drop everything on the floor. You have got children who don't play safely in the playground. One look at them and you know this child is not able to cross the midline. So how do we help the children cross the midline? So we are going to be demonstrating some simple things. Can we start with the trampoline, Nema? I call this my magic equipment. This is perfect for hyper children because it brings down the energy levels, and this is perfect for hypo children. And instead of having a morning circle, switch your schedules to such a way that you are going to have this for those children who are coming in the morning. So the hyper ones are going to decrease the energies a little bit, and those passive ones that are actually the red flags, they are going to get a little bit activated. Nema? You can jump. Come. Be a sport. But don't try any tricks. I don't want to carry your body home. Yes. Now, this is, start with a simple bounce. Yeah. This is a simple one. You want to make it complex. Hand it over. Go back. Go front. Can you do that when you're jumping? Yes. The children will be able to do it better than Nema can because they are more adventurous and they love taking risks. So you can make this more complex. It can be even the children standing in a line and passing the ball backward, passing the ball forward. These are very, very simple things. Can you get the 2 small round ones? Yeah. We need a wall for that. Where do you want to go?
You can do with the board.
You can do with the board, right? So come over here. Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine?
Go on. Right, what we need, you're fine? Yes? Okay. So what we are doing over here is, again, this is just a simple exercise that you can do in your classrooms. And these are called sensory brain breaks. And I'll tell you the significance behind them. All right, Nema.
Okay.
Yeah. The right leg will go on the left, and the left leg will go on the right. So you're crossing that midline. Make sure that you do it backward and forward, both. And if you repeat that maybe around 10 times for each child, and allow them to be faster with each left, right, allow them to be faster, they're going to love that. Because little kids think these things are so exciting when you introduce it into the classroom. What they do not realize is that this is a hidden therapy. They don't realize that. So, can we have the floor mats? I'm just demonstrating 2, 3 of them. If you wish to know more about these, then you may get in touch with us and we can help you out with those. Right, Nema. Don't forget this with this. Come on. Yeah.
So it's a normal crawl.
Yeah, it's a normal crawl, it's an army crawl, or any animal crawl. Yeah?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, now please watch how she is using this shoulder with this leg. Yes. Yes. It has got to go in this manner. The bilateral coordination is this shoulder with this leg and your left shoulder with your right leg. Even if you have a tunnel, ask the children to do it. A lot of people, what they do is the right with the right, this way. Yes? And that's the wrong formation. When you do not cross the midlines properly, you're not going to accelerate or enhance the learning. Yeah, you can. Sensory brain breaks. People had no idea what they were when I first introduced it in the kingdom. And I should also tell you, the ministry didn't even recognize it. But we kept at it, and now they realize not only the importance of a sensory brain break in centers, rehabilitation centers like ours, but also in schools, how important it is. And I'm going to give you some information about that. When you have a brain that is working on one task for half an hour, that brain starts to stagnate. It just starts to stay in one place because it's working on one energy level. So what do you do after 15 minutes? Everyone, get the chair, Nema, and please be with us as we do it, because I want you also to do it. Please join us as we are doing it. You'll probably have to take your chairs a little back. Yeah, you can go around distributing, Yasmin. Right, just hold on if you don't have a good grip. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now this was very simple, but you can make it more complex by adding more things to it, like touch it. Every time you do it, touch it with your other hand, the opposite hand, right? You can take them. We are giving you papers on chair yogas that you can do in your classroom. These are really, really simple ones. What happens to the brain is, when you take a break in between 15 minutes, your brain that has been working with a certain intensity on a task is allowed to take a breath. The gym ball, because they're too busy balancing their bodies, expenditure is happening on the gym ball, and guess what they're doing? They're not being naughty anymore. Try introducing these flexible seatings into your classrooms, and you will find a lot of difference in the behavioral aspects in the classroom. Any questions till now? Yes?
You know that we have, per day we have 8 periods. Can we apply such things in every period?
You can. You can. If your classroom is for half an hour, then you can do it at the 15th minute. If your class is for 40 minutes, you can do it at the 20th minute. And trust me, it will even work for the older children. In our center, we just allow them to go and feed the rabbits, or we tell them take a run around the center and come back, crawl through the tunnel. If there is no time, they have to do the chair yogas in the classroom, or just hold your hands and go up and down. You know, let's see who does that the fastest. The children have got no idea that this is all hidden therapy taking place. They think it is fun. And what a wonderful idea through, you know, using play in order to make them learn. Such a simple concept. And we have lost it. We are so focused on academics that we have failed to notice, is our method of teaching, is our empirically based research really being effective for the children? Are they holding on to the knowledge for life? Are they able to retain it? Or is the teacher constantly repeating herself? Just making small, simple changes like this, you'll see a world of difference in your classrooms. I am going to come back to cognition again, and I'm going to teach you one simple trick with, can somebody give me the line if somebody remembers, and miles to go before I sleep? Does anybody remember that poem? Yes. Yes, Robert Frost. Do you remember the 2 lines? No, just 2 lines. Or give me the 2 lines of any poetry. The woods are lovely, dark and green. Thank you. Right, so the people who already know this poem, just ignore it. This is for those who do not know it. Is everybody able to see that? Yeah, really light, yes? It will not give us a chance to practice it if you're not going to see. If I ask you to write down, you might cheat. Well, the children are the ones you cannot trust. They have every way. How do we do this now? I'm thinking. This is way too light for us. Okay, let me just explain it rather than us practicing it out. Yeah, fair enough? What you do is, for a child that is not able to learn in a forward manner, now this can be for you as well, let me tell you. I have had a lot of people, I think I have had maybe a success ratio of nearly 99% of the people that I taught this to have come back to me and told me, you know something, I wish you had taught this much earlier. Trust me, I sit and cry that I wish I knew this when I was a child. When children do not learn, or when you do not learn in a forward manner, take it backward. And what is backward training? Backward training is, I still don't think they will be able to see it.
Can you read? It's better, yeah.
They're saying it's a little better. Maybe we can just take it a little bit front. Yeah? Okay, we'll take it front, right?
3 lines and we'll memorize it.
Not over here, because we are saying if you cannot take it forward, then you're going to take it backward. I actually had people who had to memorize paragraphs or poems, or people who were in Hifz school for Quran. They came back to me and they were like, you know, honestly, I wish you had taught this earlier to us, because it just helps them. Again, okay. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can we start as a warm-up before any lesson?
That wouldn't be a sensory brain break. A sensory brain break is meant to give your brain a break. Give it rest. And give it rest in such a manner that it will come back to the task with renewed energy or renewed activity.
Can you please tell me, can you repeat the age group?
Age group? I'm talking about young children. Remember one thing. With children, the stronger your foundation, the better you're building, right? The weaker the foundation, and lesser said, the better about the structure. That's why in order to have a very strong foundation, I say start with them. The moment you see them running and playing and getting naughty, start it with them, even in the play groups. Yeah, I'm not a teacher, I'm sorry, so I do not know the age groups and all, but young children are the ones I prefer working on, because the younger the child, even as less as 2 or lesser than that, the better the prognosis. Please remember. That child, you're able to mold him or her into anything you want. It's when they become older, they become stubborn, and you're not able to do anything with those minds. Yeah? Right. Is everybody able to view it now? I'll get it closer. But I think you miss out then. They cannot see, yeah? So that's the only way? All right, with backward training, now what we are going to do is, for those who know, thank you, but for those who do not know, follow me please. We are just going to rub the last word out. Let's just repeat this, please. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, and miles to go before I sleep. Now, you know you have said the word sleep. Again, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, and miles to go. Again. 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 Yes. Yes. Bravo. Thank you. Thank you very much. And that's your backward training. And I should tell you that although I used to have a difficult time with all of these long poetries, and long prose and paragraphs during my school days, but my daughter has graduated from Jeddah Prep, and she learned it through backward training from me, and she scored a A* at her graduation. Yeah. So this is a very simple way. If a child is not learning in the progressive manner that you expected to teach a child, take it backward. Because everybody has got different senses, different perspectives. And that's why you need those children. You need to try out different innovative things with those children, because at the end of the day, the teaching has got to come in effectively and the learning has got to come in effortlessly, right? That's what you're looking at primarily. I'll take question and answers from you, please. All of you, if you have got any doubts, anything more you wish for me to add in over there.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
I have a son who's 4 years old. He just started school now. This is third week. And I met his teacher last week, and she said, your son is different from the rest of the class. She said, when I tell them to all go and sit on the mat, they all go and sit on the mat, except for him. He runs to the other side of the classroom and starts playing with something else. When she tells them to sit in a circle, they all sit in a circle, except he sits either in the middle of the circle or outside of the circle.
Right.
So she told me that that this is, it's not a bad trait. It just means that he's different. He falls into the category definitely of being hyper. Now, I don't know what you might suggest to me as a parent at home.
I think with this age group, between the ages of 2 to 4, these are known as the terrible twos. And children are naturally meant to be, especially boys, are meant to be naughty. They're meant to be hyper. I've seen a lot of children getting misdiagnosed and said that child is hyper because the teacher is not able to handle that one hyper child in the class. But when she'll have her own child, she'll realize that between the ages of 2 to 4, because the motoric activity of the child is a lot, that child is just going to be like this, spinning around. And I think with your child, what you are saying, I think he's probably having an issue not with his expressive language, but with his receptive language. I think you need to work on the teacher and see if he's able to understand the directions been given by her. He's able to get to the circle, but he sits in the center of it. He's still not able to grasp that concept, and I think she's not explained that well enough to him, or he by himself is not able to process it properly because of his sensory integration.
I think he fully understands, but he chooses not to. I think this is the trait that he...
The teacher might be able to say that much better, you know, because a lot of children, when the motoric activity is a lot, please remember, even if they understand, they will anyway not listen to you. The brain motoric activity, when they are too busy with that, again, expenditure, there's nothing left to focus on what remains. So, any more questions in there, please? Any clarifications? Yes?
I quite disagree with you because you said that backward learning process, it works a lot. So far as my experience, limited experience is concerned, and according to my humble knowledge, what about the students? For example, in one class, if I'm leading a class of 15 students, what about the rest of the 14 or 13 who are, you know, at a better mental level?
I wish to first clarify you. I never said that, you know, that backward learning is the only method. Yeah. I said take it forward. If it does not work, if the learning is not effective, take it backward.
No, I mean, what about the rest of the students?
I told you to take it forward. I'm telling you to take it forward. Take it forward the way you're already teaching the child. Sorry?
Don't you think it's time taking?
And a teacher who says that should not be a teacher. My parents are paying you to teach me that, no matter what time it takes. I'm investing my life in your hands. So if it's taking you time and you're complaining about it's time consuming, it's because the schools are stressing on so much on them. You know, they have got a certain amount of time, they've got to finish the lesson plans, whatever on them. I do understand that, you know, there's a lot of pressure on the teachers as well.
Surely that goes back to teacher planning. Teachers should know the students.
That's why all of you are in here, the principals of various schools.
I just wanted to comment on Mr. Raed's son. I have a 12th grader now. My son, my eldest, used to be in grade 1 in one of the schools. And I got depressed because the teacher kept telling me he is a special needs student. Whenever I give him an assignment, he starts cheating from the one next to him. Although they showered us with workshops of teamwork, collaboration. In this age, it's a teamwork. And now he's in grade 12. I took him to specialist, of course, and I went home crying with him. He's in grade 12. He did his O-levels A's and A stars. He did his A-levels A's, 3 A's in his A-levels, and he's now in grade 12.
MashaAllah.
Don't relax, Mr.
MashaAllah.
Right, it's too early to make
Of course.
It is too early. It is way too early because even the diagnostics that starts after the age of 4. Because they know that by age 4, children are expected to behave in this manner. I mean, what is a child that's not naughty? Right? I'm sure none of you were angels when you were kids. None of us were. You know, a child, I mean, you want to enjoy the happiness of a child, see a child that's naughty, not a child that's sitting properly and well behaved and all. I mean, and as one of the famous poets, I think he said, child is the father of the man. Trust me, these children are such gurus for us. You learn so much from them. I mean, they are your teachers. You are not their teachers. They teach you so much. You know, you end up learning from them, and I think that's a win-win situation for all. Yes? So if you need consultations or diagnostics for the children in your school, please get in touch with my staff. And because we're also doing professional development courses for London Teacher Training College, so you can get in touch with me for more on that. If there are no more questions, then I would like to end the session. You want to have the gym, Nema, they just want to see you sit. Come, don't bounce, just show them. And trust me, these gym balls, they're not expensive. They're just for 10 reals. They're just for 10 reals. Take them to a cycle shop and they will blow it up for you. No bouncing and having fun, Nema. Yes, you're not the child here. Yes. Just show them on how it is done. Yes. So don't bounce. See this? It's just as comfortable as the chair is. If any one of you wishes to come in and try this, please do. Please come in and try that, and you will see it stays stable, stays on the, you know, it's very stable for the children, and because the expenditure is right over there. And one more thing that I wish to point out before I finish this. Now with play and with movement, one very important aspect. How many of you have got trouble with children with poor handwriting? Yes, nearly in every school, right? Do you give the child things to write and say, practice it so your handwriting will improve? Do you do that?
Not too much.
Not too much? Do you make them do any hand exercises and all?
Yes.
Well, guess what? You're wrong. Handwriting, poor grip in your fingers comes from core stability. The stronger, the more stable your bigger muscles are that are closer to your core, the stronger and the better and the more in control your fine motor. Just fine motor exercises are not going to help a child that has got weak balance, that is not able to stand steadily on its foot, and these core muscles are not strong. When she was crawling, I also failed to point out this. The distal muscles from the smaller muscles. The closer to the core, the stronger they need to be in order for the child to produce a good handwriting. So if you are telling the child, you know, focus on the handwriting, focus, and you're making them practice, and you are just asking the child to do fine motor exercises, that's not enough, because this is where it is coming in from those feet, from here, and then goes to the fine motor. See how it is interconnected? So if the child is going to have good core strength, the fine motor is going to be perfect. So practice the sensory brain breaks, and if you want to have more knowledge on that, you can ask my staff and we'll help you with that. And have the sensory brain breaks introduced into your classrooms, and you're going to notice a difference.
What if you have children with good handwriting up to grade 3, 4, and then the handwriting starts to become...
That means the movement has not been enough, there's not been enough play, there has not been enough exercises that are strengthening the muscles. And with age, these are slacking. So yes, and also please remember, now that I'm pointing over here, it reminds me that the feel-good hormones of our body, serotonin and dopamine. Dopamine, yes, it's in your brain. 70% of serotonin is produced in our gut. So that means whatever we put in our mouth, and majority of us eat a lot of junk, that we are depleting our serotonin. So when serotonin is being depleted, what happens is your happy state starts depleting. So dopamine and serotonin, as long as you have these feel-good hormones, what happens to your learning in a happy state? It enhances, and you learn more when you're in a happy state. So watch your gut as well, please. And also remember, movement, exercise, and exercise to the point where your sweat is dripping. That kind of an exercise releases the dopamine from your brain, from your body naturally. So I always tell my patients, do not ask me for antidepressants because they change your personality. They change your neural pathways. Do not hook yourself onto antidepressants or anti-anxiety or anti-panic pills. The best thing for you to do is hit the gym. Cross your midlines and you'll notice. And I would like to use myself as an example. My staff and my friends standing over there, they are witness to that. At my heaviest, I was 112 kilos. Today, I'm 80 kilos. Instead of preaching to people, we need to practice on ourselves. So it was a question of mind over matter. And I kept crossing the midlines deliberately, clean my gut out, and change my state. And this was over Ramadan. This was over Ramadan. So everything is in your hands. And those young children are just like, the clay that you get, the Play-Doh that you get. You can mold it into any shape you want, And when they are young, it's highly possible. It's highly possible to create anything out of that child that you wish. So you have a huge responsibility in your hands. So all the best to all of you, inshallah, and thank you so much. Please come in and try this ball. Yes, I want you to. I want you to.